The night before my wedding, I received a wedding dress that didn't fit my body. Tiago, who had been my boyfriend for 7 years, snatched it from my hands with a look of displeasure and said indifferently, "It's not for you." The next day, his childhood friend Amanda tried on the dress, and it fit her perfectly. While watching her affectionately, Tiago said to me without even turning his head, "Don't blame her. She just likes wearing beautiful clothes." After that, he didn't even come home on our wedding night. So, I went to the hospital to abort the fetus in my womb and called the HR department of Tiago's competitor, Marina, and accepted their offer. "Marina, I'll be starting work next week," I said after pressing the send button. I felt relieved. Meanwhile, Tiago didn't come home for an entire night and only sent me a message as if he had just realized he still had a wife. "Tiago, are you awake?" Without receiving a reply, he sent another message. "Amanda stained the wedding dress yesterday. She didn't mean to. Remember to take the dress to the dry cleaner when you wake up." As expected, he contacted me because of Amanda. I blocked him and called the most renowned divorce lawyer in town, Marcelo. "Do you take divorce cases involving a marriage that lasted only 1 day?" As soon as I said this, I couldn't help but mock myself, realizing that my 7-year affection for Tiago ended up being wasted. Marcelo seemed surprised and could only say, "Of course. Can you tell me the details of your request?" The conversation with the lawyer continued until noon, when Tiago, who hadn't even taken off his groom's suit, opened the door to my room. When he saw me, he said nothing, only asking with a frown, "Why didn't you reply to my messages?" In truth, I had anticipated this question because I always replied to his messages almost instantly after receiving them. During all those years of our relationship, I could only get a few words in response from Tiago. On the rare occasions he texted me first, it was always about Amanda. Hanging up the phone, I replied evasively, "I got up too late to see your messages." Tiago didn't seem to care about my response and put his legs on the table after sitting beside me. Then, he immersed himself in his phone with a slight smile. Obviously, he was texting Amanda. Without even looking up, he ordered, "Can you massage my shoulders? They feel tight." He probably hadn't paid attention to what I had just said. Tilting my head, I suddenly noticed a kiss mark on his neck and felt nauseated. My lack of response irritated Tiago, who rubbed the skin between his eyebrows and said, "Are you going to keep ignoring what I say forever? Remember, you're an adult, not a child, so stop fussing over these trivial matters." But the last part of his speech was interrupted as I stood up. "Tell me which part is tight," I said calmly. Tiago stopped complaining and was about to say something again when he glimpsed the floor mirror opposite the sofa. Seeing my fingers near the striking kiss mark on his neck, he jumped off the sofa as if he had been electrocuted. Standing up awkwardly, Tiago said something to justify his strange behavior. "All right, no need to massage me. I brought you lunch. Let me heat it up for you, okay?" After grabbing his phone and fleeing to the kitchen, I lifted my head and saw my pale face in the mirror. The pain from the abortion still lingered in my body, but he had no idea that our child had been aborted. Pressing my lips together, I opened Instagram and saw a photo with location information posted by Amanda. It was taken in an upscale seafood restaurant with the caption, "My dear enjoyed the wedding yesterday and took me to savor some seafood cuisine." I'm so happy, though it's a little sad to waste food since I have a small appetite. In the photo, Tiago was leaning down to carefully wipe oil from the corners of her mouth. They were as close as newlywed lovebirds. I gave it a like. There was a burnt smell coming from the kitchen, and Tiago hurriedly served the hot lunch to me. On the screen of his phone, which wasn't locked, I saw the chat box with Amanda. Looking down, I saw that the so-called lunch he brought me was some shrimp, obviously leftovers from his previous meal. I got up and threw the dish into the trash. My reaction gave him an excuse to vent all his dissatisfaction with me that day as he clicked his tongue and said, "I already picked out the burnt ones and threw them away." "So what's with that face? I gave you the wedding you wanted. What else do you want?" "I hate your petty attitude. There's nothing between Amanda and me." As I looked at him, I found his excuses more and more laughable. Without a doubt, Amanda had told him about my like on Instagram. What a cute couple they were. I placed the plate back on the table and said calmly, "Don't overthink. I'm just allergic to seafood." Tiago was stunned and looked a little flustered. He said with a trace of guilt, "Sorry, I forgot. I'll take you on a honeymoon to make it up when our marriage leave is granted." I said nothing. In the past, whenever I begged him to take me traveling, he would always refuse and accuse me of ignoring how busy he was with work. Instead, he used every holiday to take Amanda to all the places she wanted to visit. After finding out about this in the past, I questioned him about the photos Amanda posted on Instagram while crying, only to get his impatient reply, "Amanda is just a child. Do you really have to make a big deal out of everything with her?" Yesterday's wedding wouldn't have happened if I hadn't almost knelt in front of him. All the guests could see that I wasn't the protagonist of that wedding. In the past, I would have made a scene, demanding an explanation from him through tears. But now, all that remained in my heart was indifference. After reflecting on what I had done in the past, I realized how incredibly stupid I had been. Instead of agreeing to his proposal, I unlocked my phone and saw a message from Marina. "Welcome to our company. You can start working anytime in the next 2 weeks." I couldn't help but smile and immediately replied, "Okay, I'll be there next Monday." Noticing the bright smile on my face, Tiago asked with displeasure, "What are you talking about so happily?" I locked my phone and replied evasively, "Nothing." Unexpectedly, he grabbed my phone and tried to unlock it, but failed. After trying several password combinations, Tiago couldn't help but frown even more. That was because all the passwords for all my apps used to be his birthday. The message I hadn't replied to, along with my unusual attitude toward him, made Tiago suspicious. He threw my phone on the sofa and tried to ask casually, "Why did you change the password?" Picking up the phone, I replied calmly, "Nothing in particular. I just wanted to change it." Tiago opened his mouth, but eventually said nothing. Later, he took me out for dinner. When I opened the passenger door, a cute note was attached to it. It said, "The exclusive seat of Princess Amanda." I was about to slam the door when Tiago grabbed my wrist and explained with an embarrassed expression, "Amanda put it there as a joke. You can take it off if you don't like it." His behavior was hilarious to me. If he truly cared about how I would feel seeing that note, he wouldn't have allowed Amanda to put something so provocative there in the first place. Deep down, he preferred Amanda over me. I shrugged indifferently to show I didn't care and walked past him to the back seat. However, as soon as I sat down, I felt something hard against my hip. I reached out and picked it up. Inside the circle of a diamond ring, the initials AM were meticulously engraved. I knew it was Amanda's name. Before I could take a closer look, Tiago hurriedly stretched out his hand to grab it. Amanda must have dropped it in my car. I'll take it to her at the office tomorrow. While saying this, Tiago watched my expression with evasive eyes to see if I was upset. My calm face eased his concerns. I realized it was the best-selling model from a renowned wedding ring brand, which allowed a man to purchase only one ring with his ID. The brand strongly promoted the idea of eternal love and loyalty, something that had always deeply attracted me. However, when I had gathered the courage to ask Tiago about buying the rings, he responded with mockery, "You can't see the trap of formalistic consumerism? You're so dumb and hopeless." Burying the hurt deep in my heart, I convinced myself he was just an overly pragmatic man. Even at the wedding, I wore the simple ring he had bought from a street stall years ago. Now I discovered that I did have a sense of ceremony. He just preferred to share it with someone else. I could imagine the passionate sex in the back seat, so wild that it made Amanda drop the ring. But it didn't matter to me anymore. During dinner, Tiago noticed that I had taken off our wedding ring. When he finally looked up from his phone, as expected, he questioned me about it. I replied indifferently, without even raising my head, "Oh, I must have lost it. It's nothing important anyway, isn't it?" Hearing this, Tiago locked his phone with a troubled expression. The thought that I might care about the ring in the back seat led him to explain, "Amanda begged me to buy her that ring when we went shopping. I couldn't break her heart, could I?" I looked at him and said, confused, "And what does that have to do with me?" The completely different attitude he had toward me and Amanda had caused countless arguments between us. His initial indifference and later indiscriminate insults had shown me who he truly was. Now, I just felt he was interrupting my meal. After dinner, Tiago insisted on taking me to a mall to choose a new ring. Despite my repeated refusals, he kept insisting on buying a new one while I sat in the car, passing the time by looking out at the street. The sky thundered, and the next second, it started pouring rain. That was when Tiago's phone rang. The ringtone didn't match his style at all. Obviously, it was Amanda, as that was her specific call ringtone. This reminded me that, last month, he had yelled at me just because I accidentally touched his phone. I was 2 months pregnant at the time. When he shoved me to the ground, a sharp pain struck my womb, and I almost miscarried. Facing my pain, Tiago slammed the door and went out to take Amanda to buy the snack she suddenly craved. Remembering the past, I couldn't help but clench my fists. As expected, Amanda's cries came through his phone. "Tiago, it's thundering. I'm so scared being home alone. Can you come over?" He immediately pulled the car over and, eager to get to Amanda, said without any guilt for me, "I have something urgent to do now. It's not far from here. Just pick the ring you like by yourself." I was left standing in the pouring rain. Looking at the road signs, I realized the nearest mall was a kilometer away. Then I received a message reminding me to accept the money Tiago had transferred to me for the ring. With a sneer, I transferred the money back and took a taxi home. When I arrived home, still drenched, I received a message from Amanda that she had mistakenly sent to me. With an ironic smile, I returned the money and took a taxi home. When I arrived, still drenched, I received a message from Amanda, sent by mistake. It was a picture of her on Tiago's couch, wearing one of his shirts, with a caption that read, "Thank you for always taking care of me, love. You're the best." My stomach churned. It wasn't just her audacity, but the fact that I knew Tiago had been with her while I stood in the rain, alone, trying to piece my life back together. For a moment, I gripped my phone tightly, contemplating my options. I could ignore it and pretend I hadn't seen it, but the thought disgusted me. I had spent far too long accepting Tiago's disrespect. Instead, I decided to respond. "You sent this to the wrong person, Amanda. What a shame. Enjoy it while you can." I sent the message before rationality could stop me. I sat on the couch, still soaked, too exhausted to change clothes. My mind was flooded with humiliation, rage, and a growing determination to do something. I couldn't continue being Tiago's doormat. He had reduced me to a shadow of the person I used to be. I picked up my phone again and found the last message from Marcelo, the lawyer. "Can we speed up the divorce process? I'm ready to get this done as soon as possible." I had barely sent the message when I heard the door open. Tiago walked in, his suit still damp from the rain, his expression irritated as if I were the one responsible for all his troubles. "Why didn't you wait for me at the mall? I gave you money for the ring." He looked at me with disdain, but something in my expression seemed to unsettle him. For the first time in a long time, I didn't cower. I stood up, still holding my phone, and replied in the coldest tone I could muster, "I returned the money. Tiago, I don't need anything from you." He scoffed, throwing his keys onto the table. "You're overreacting. Amanda is just a friend. You know that." I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. "A friend? Is that what you said every time she invaded what should have been our space? Is that what you said while you wiped her mouth on our sham of a honeymoon, or when you bought her a diamond ring while giving me a street vendor's trinket? And now? Are you still going to pretend she's just a friend when I see her wearing your clothes on the couch we paid for together?" Tiago paled for a moment, but quickly regained his composure. "You're imagining things. It's all in your head." He walked toward the bedroom, dismissing my words entirely. I followed him, unable to hold back. Imagining things? Was it my imagination when I almost lost our child because you thought it was more important to take Amanda for a snack? Was it my imagination when you didn't even bother to ask how I was after I lost the baby? No, Tiago, I'm not imagining anything. I'm just done being an idiot. He stopped and turned to me, his eyes narrowing. You always make a big deal out of everything. Maybe that's why Amanda is so much easier to deal with. Those words were a knife to my chest. It wasn't just the pain. It was the confirmation that he had never valued me. I felt tears threatening to spill, but I refused to let them fall. Instead, I took a deep breath and replied, "You're right. Amanda is easier because she has no dignity. She's content with leftovers, with scraps. But I refuse to live like that. Consider this the end, Tiago. I want you out of my house by tomorrow." He laughed, incredulous. "You don't have the guts. Try doubting me one more time." I shot back firmly. I grabbed my phone and started dialing the police. He saw my actions and, for the first time, hesitated. "You're really serious about this, aren't you? More serious than you ever were about our marriage." Tiago stormed out of the bedroom, muttering, but not before saying, "You're going to regret this." That night, I locked the bedroom door and sat on the bed. I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed all the ways he had belittled me, how Amanda always seemed to come out on top. But amidst the chaos in my thoughts, an idea began to take shape. This wasn't just about getting rid of Tiago. It was about rebuilding myself. And maybe, just maybe, about making sure he and Amanda faced the consequences of their actions. By morning, Tiago had left, but his belongings were still scattered around the house. I called Marcelo and asked him to expedite the process. I also began looking for a new place to live. If Tiago thought I'd be a passive victim, he was about to learn otherwise. Before heading to work, I received a notification from Amanda. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help." I didn't reply. I saved the message. Something told me that one day, I'd use it against her and Tiago. It was only a matter of time. I knew the end wasn't just for the marriage. It marked the beginning of something far greater. Tiago and Amanda couldn't walk away unscathed, leaving behind a trail of humiliation and pain. What they had done to me wouldn't be erased, but I made sure every choice they made from now on came with a price. The next morning, I began preparing. First, I called Marcelo and requested not only to speed up the divorce, but also to include a clause ensuring Tiago would have no claim to the house. With all the evidence I had, messages, receipts, and even photos of Amanda in my home, Marcelo assured me the law would be on my side. This was just the beginning. While packing some belongings, I stumbled upon a box of Tiago's old documents. Among overdue bills and forgotten papers, I uncovered something revealing. He owed a significant amount in personal loans and was behind on payments for a car he had secretly financed. Amanda, of course, probably had no idea. This gave me the perfect idea. I decided to dig deeper, and with the help of a mutual contact, I discovered he also had debts tied to a small business he had opened with Amanda, a cafe that, as it turned out, was barely staying afloat. Armed with this information, I acted calmly and strategically. I called his creditors and anonymously informed them that Tiago was in the middle of a divorce and likely unable to meet his obligations. I didn't need to make anything up. The truth was enough. Within a week, I started hearing news that creditors were pressing him more aggressively. Tiago was running out of options. Meanwhile, the message Amanda had mistakenly sent me finally found its purpose. I contacted her company's HR department anonymously, attaching screenshots of her messages and photos, many clearly taken during work hours. As I suspected, she had been using company time for her escapades with Tiago. Days later, I heard Amanda had been fired. I knew this because Tiago showed up at my door, furious. "You ruined her life. You're a bitter, vengeful woman," he yelled, trying to appear in control, but his voice wavered. I stared at him, calm as ever, and replied, "Me? I didn't ruin anything, Tiago. You and Amanda did that all on your own. I simply showed the world who you really are." Before he could respond, I shut the door in his face. Meanwhile, my new job at Tiago's competitor, under Marina's leadership, was going better than I could have imagined. Not only was I valued, but I also knew his company was beginning to lose clients. I didn't lift a finger. Tiago's arrogance and incompetence were catching up with him. Over time, rumors of his poor management began to circulate, and Marina informed me that several of his major contracts had been canceled. The cherry on top came a few months later. Marcelo informed me that the divorce had been finalized, and Tiago not only lost all rights to the house, but was also ordered to pay compensation for emotional damages. The decision was based on all the evidence I presented, including his negligence during my pregnancy and his blatant betrayals. Tiago tried to appeal but couldn't afford a good lawyer. By this point, Amanda had already disappeared from the picture, leaving him with the debts and a clear message that she wanted nothing to do with him. From what I heard, she moved back in with her parents, embarrassed and unemployed. Tiago, on the other hand, ended up moving into a small apartment in a cheap neighborhood. It didn't take long for him to start selling whatever he could to cover his debts. His car was repossessed, and his reputation was in ruins. As for me, for the first time in years, I felt the freedom to start over. With the money I had saved and the stability of my new job, I purchased an apartment in a place I'd always dreamed of living. Slowly, I began decorating it, each detail reflecting the person I had become. Strong, resilient, and above all, unbreakable. Tiago tried to contact me a few times afterward, mostly to beg for money or help. He even attempted to apologize, but his apology was hollow, full of self-pity and regret for losing the benefits he had with me. I ignored every message. To me, he no longer existed. Amanda, on the other hand, tried to rebuild her life, but her tarnished reputation followed her. I learned that she had taken a job as a waitress at a small cafe, ironically similar to the one she and Tiago had tried to open together. From what I heard, she still blamed Tiago for everything, but her shame kept them from reconciling. Now, looking back, I know my revenge wasn't just about exposing Tiago and Amanda's failures, but about rising from the ashes and showing them, and myself, that no one could destroy me. Every decision I made was calculated, not out of impulsiveness, but out of necessity. They learned their lessons, and I learned mine. However, I always kept one card up my sleeve. Among the evidence I had collected, there was something I never used, a series of messages and documents that could not only bury Tiago for good, but also further tarnish Amanda's name. I decided to hold on to it, not out of mercy, but because I knew that if they ever dared to come after me, I'd be ready. Because now I would never be caught off guard again.